Welcome to a tale of deception, ambition, and one of Australia's most mystifying crimes. In the vibrant decade of the 80s, Australia saw the rise of many influential figures, but none as enigmatic as John Friedrich. Initially stepping into the limelight as a savior of lives, Friedrich took the helm of the National Safety Council of Australia. Under his guidance, what was once a modest operation transformed into a colossal search and rescue organization that garnered national and international acclaim. But who really was John Friedrich? On the surface, he was a man of vision and undeniable charisma, turning the NSC into a beacon of hope and innovation. Communities and governments alike watched in awe as Friedrich orchestrated massive expansions and sophisticated operations, setting new benchmarks in emergency management. Yet, as the organization soared to new heights, there were rumblings of something more sinister forming in the shadows. But beneath the surface of success, dark secrets lurked, poised to unravel. How does one turn respect into deceit on such a grand scale? In the vibrant yet tumultuous era of the 1980s, John Friedrich, a name synonymous with vision and humanitarian aid, executed one of the most audacious financial deceptions Australia had ever seen. As the head of the National Safety Council, Friedrich was trusted, respected, and admired. But beneath this veneer of success and altruism, Friedrich was orchestrating a scheme of epic proportions. Friedrich's strategy was as simple as it was daring. He began borrowing vast sums of money from banks and financial institutions. The twist? He used non-existent assets as collateral. Yes, you heard that right. Assets that didn't exist. Friedrich created a web of fictitious companies and phantom equipment, crafting an illusion so convincing that auditors and bankers were none the wiser. Through this elaborate facade, Friedrich secured loans amounting to hundreds of millions of dollars. But what did Friedrich do with this influx of unearned wealth? Unlike the lavish spenders of his time, he avoided the spotlight of extravagant displays. This restraint played a crucial role in prolonging his charade. He funneled the money into expanding the operations and capabilities of the National Safety Council, which on the surface only solidified his image as a dedicated leader. However, the scale of borrowing was unsustainable. The more Friedrich borrowed, the more he needed to sustain the illusion. He was trapped in a vicious cycle of fraud and deceit, each loan a desperate bid to cover the tracks of the last. This house of cards couldn't stand forever. The complexity of his financial dealings meant that a single slip could bring everything tumbling down. And eventually, the inevitable inconsistencies began to surface. Auditors started noticing discrepancies. Numbers didn't add up. Assets couldn't be verified. And Friedrich's intricate world of lies began to unravel. Friedrich's empire was built on sand, and it was only a matter of time before it crumbled. Charisma can be a powerful tool, and John Friedrich wielded it with precision. As the head of the National Safety Council, Friedrich's magnetic presence wasn't just felt, it was influential. His ability to connect with people, to make them feel valued and understood, was unparalleled. This charm was not merely a personality trait, but a strategic asset that propelled him to the zenith of the organization. Colleagues often recalled how Friedrich walked into a room and the air changed. Barry Whitehead, a former associate at the NSC, shared that Friedrich had a knack for making complex ideas seem simple and achievable. He had this way of speaking, a confidence that made you want to believe in him, to follow him, Barry noted. It was this charisma that enabled Friedrich to rally support, secure funding, and expand the NSC's operations globally. However, Friedrich's charm also served as a smokescreen. Behind his engaging smile and firm handshake was a mind constantly weaving webs of deceit. As he charmed his colleagues and the media, he was simultaneously orchestrating one of the most audacious financial frauds of the time. He manipulated financial statements and fabricated assets with such finesse that even the most skeptical were temporarily lulled into trust. This dual aspect of Friedrich's character illustrates the potent combination of charisma and deception. While his charm accelerated his climb, it also deepened the fall. Yet, beneath the charm, the gears of a complex fraud were turning relentlessly. All empires based on lies eventually fall, and so did Friedrich's. As John Friedrich's operations at the National Safety Council expanded, so did the complexity and scope of his financial machinations. Behind the facade of a successful search and rescue organization, Friedrich had been weaving a web of deceit so intricate that it initially escaped the scrutiny of financial experts. However, the bigger the empire, the harder it is to hide the cracks. Auditors, initially dazzled by the supposed success of the NSC, began to notice discrepancies that were hard to ignore. The first red flags appeared in the form of irregular financial statements and reports of assets that, upon closer inspection, seemed to exist only on paper. These were assets Friedrich claimed to possess to secure bank loans and funding, assets that were, in fact, entirely fictitious. As auditors dug deeper, the scale of Friedrich's deception became apparent, revealing a network of lies and financial manipulation that was unprecedented in Australian history. Pressure mounted swiftly. Law enforcement agencies, armed with mounting evidence of fraud and embezzlement, intensified their investigations. The walls were closing in on Friedrich, and with his options dwindling, he did the unthinkable. In a move that shocked both his supporters and detractors, Friedrich resigned from his position at the NSC. But rather than face the consequences, he vanished, sparking one of the most extensive manhunts in the nation's history. The search for Friedrich stretched across Australia, with authorities piecing together his movements and possible hideouts. It was a game of cat and mouse that came to a dramatic conclusion in Perth. There, after weeks of evading capture, the authorities finally cornered Friedrich. The man who had once been hailed as a visionary and a hero was now a fugitive, his reputation in tatters. The mastermind was now a fugitive, and his days of freedom were numbered. Every con artist has a backstory, and Friedrich's was as complex as his schemes. Before he became the notorious figurehead of the National Safety Council in Australia, Friedrich had already woven a web of deceit halfway across the world under the alias John Hohenberger. His origins trace back to Germany, where his early exploits in fraud laid the groundwork for his later grand-scale deceptions. In the serene yet deceptive tranquility of the Alps, Friedrich allegedly met his end, or so it seemed. In a plot twist worthy of a spy novel, he faked his own death, shedding his old identity like a snake sheds its skin. This act of vanishing was not merely dramatic, but strategic, allowing him to escape the clutches of European law enforcement and to reinvent himself on Australian shores. These revelations about his past came to light only after diligent investigators started piecing together the scattered fragments of his life. Each discovery added a new layer to Friedrich's already intricate persona, revealing a man who was not only a master of fraud, but also of escape and reinvention. The more the authorities dug into his history, the more they uncovered a pattern of fabricated documents, fake companies, and ghost assets. Friedrich's life was a theatrical production of his own making, where he was both the director and the leading man. Friedrich's past was a jigsaw puzzle that, once completed, portrayed the picture of a seasoned fraudster. In the world of crime, all stories come to an end, and Friedrich's was tragically dramatic. As the walls closed in, the weight of his colossal frauds and the imminent threat of imprisonment became unbearable. With each passing day, the public and media scrutiny intensified, painting a picture of a man cornered by his own deceptions. Legal proceedings began to unveil the extent of his financial manipulations, leaving the community and his followers bewildered. The man who was once hailed as a hero in the realm of safety and rescue was now vilified as a master manipulator. It was a fall from grace that captured the nation's attention, turning Friedrich into a somber symbol of greed and betrayal. Theories about his sudden demise range from orchestrated escape plans to darker, more sinister foul play. However, his death was officially declared a suicide. This conclusion has not stopped the whispers and speculations that perhaps there was more to his final act than meets the eye. John Friedrich's story concludes with a whisper of mystery and a legacy of caution. What can we learn from the rise and fall of a corporate titan turned criminal mastermind? The saga of John Friedrich is not just a tale of deceit, it is a profound lesson on the vulnerabilities of our financial and regulatory systems. Friedrich's ability to manipulate banking and corporate structures to his advantage exposes critical weaknesses. His audacious frauds involving hundreds of millions spotlight the drastic need for robust verification processes and transparency in financial dealings. This story also compels us to question the efficacy of our regulatory frameworks. How could a single individual create such a vast empire of illusion without early detection? It underscores the importance of continuous oversight and the integration of more stringent checks to prevent similar scenarios. Furthermore, Friedrich's journey from a respected leader to a notorious fraudster reminds us of the psychological aspects of white-collar crime. It challenges us to consider how charisma and perceived success can mask underlying deceit, leading many to overlook glaring red flags. John Friedrich's life serves as a stark reminder of the fine line between ambition and moral decay.